does it this way.
You have a nice time?
Yeah, it was good. Right, next time I speak, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Hello everyone, welcome to Madrid United. I'm Adam. With me today in the hot seat is Ant. How are you doing, Ant? You okay, mate?
You alright, Ad? All good, mate?
Oh.
Nice holiday?
Yes, very good holiday. Sporting the Jackie Chan today. Hopefully it shows up a bit with this lighting. I didn't know if it was perfect or not, but yeah. I usually do these preview shows before, or preview videos before every game, as you know from last season. Before, a couple of days before, but obviously travelling halfway across the world, 3 different time zones, all over the show yesterday. Had too much to sort out, get everything sorted, get back, but we're settled in now, everything's ready to go, we're all set for tomorrow, United against Chelsea, and we're all just looking forward to some football, I think, because after the summer that we've had, and obviously all speculation, rumours, everything, everyone having transfer deadline day, meltdowns and so on and so forth. It's just good to actually have some football back and actually get watching and start watching some real football again, as you could say, rather than obviously the pre-season stuff that obviously I've spoke about, and not actually, bear with me, I'm just making sure I'm actually on. I am live here. Yeah, I think I'm on anyway. I'm just making sure everyone saw it. Yeah, so pre-season pretty much. Hang on a second. Hang on. YouTube is not receiving video maintains. Is anyone just commenting in the comment section just to make sure that I'm actually live? I'm getting all sorts of different YouTube messages on here and everything. Just to make sure, just to confirm that I'm actually live, people, if you could. And it's still there. Hopefully everything is okay. Yeah, mate, I'm live. I'm okay. Right, I've had the confirmation. Subscribers have told me I'm live. eBay can go do one. Here we go. Let's get into it. Right, pre-season over. Transfer window was shut. Quickly, Anne, I know last time we spoke it was in the midst of all the transfer rumours and everything going on there. And obviously I did ask you the question about who you actually thought was going to end up coming. It was about 4 weeks out, I think we spoke, from the transfer window shutting. And we all had our own sort of hopes about who was going to come in. How do you actually think the transfer window went? You actually did say that you probably only expect Maguire now after Wan-Bissaka came in. That's how it's turned out. Out of 10, what would you give that transfer window? Quickly before we go on to the actual team selections and what we're hoping for tomorrow against Chelsea. How did that window go for you, Ant?
Yeah, in terms of defence, brilliant. We've recruited Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. Strength at the back needed, which cuts out Smalling and Ashley Young, which is good. We've got a good solid back four there now, hopefully, with obviously De Gea. But I'd say a 5 out of 10 because the midfield's lacking massively. Fellaini's gone, Herrera's gone. He's not replaced either of them. And then he said that obviously the people that don't want to come are umming and ahhing, and they're not coming and he'll go with what he's got. But what we've got isn't good enough, and we all know that in that midfield. Then he sold Lukaku and not replaced him. But in terms of selling Lukaku and not replacing him, I'm not really bothered because that means Mason Greenwood gets a shout, and he was very good in pre-season. So why not try Mason Greenwood? I'm all for it. I'm all for getting behind the kid because he's got something about him and you can see it. And in terms of midfield, it's just a worry because we're one injury away with Pogba. That's if Pogba comes out playing the way he wants to play. But if he doesn't, then we're screwed in that midfield. We really are because we've got Matic, Fred, McTominay, Pereira, Mata. In terms of that, it's not top 4 quality.
No, a few people in the comment section agreeing about a 5, 7, 4, 2 out of 10 from Andrew Massey. Nis, how you doing, Nis? Nice to see you on the live comments. Sorry, but Ericsson is showing United missed out. I'm guessing that's from the Tottenham game, which is just finishing up any time now. Ericsson was on the bench, but Spurs have just equalised, so I'm guessing Ericsson was involved in that. Just to confirm that to me, people, I'm pretty certain that'll be right. I've only got it on my phone here at the moment with me, but yeah, looks like Tottenham have equalised. So yeah, transfers aside, all done and dusted now, as we know. I think nearly everyone was disappointed with how the window went, but we're working with what we've got now and moving on. Obviously, season has started now. We've obviously seen Liverpool and City both get off to flyers. I mean, you couldn't have given them easier games, to be honest, to start the season off, because City's go-to team for a drumming is always West Ham. They always do West Ham in, and obviously Liverpool getting one of the new boys at home, first game of the season on a Friday night. I know Norwich did actually play all right, and Villa are holding their own as well against Chelsea, against Tottenham, as we know. So the new boys are all doing reasonably well so far this weekend. But it's just good to actually see some football going. And obviously tomorrow we kick off at home to Chelsea. We'll both be there, and obviously looking forward to the game in terms of getting in and seeing how this new sort of setup that we've got. A new setup, I mean, we've only got 3 new players I know, and everyone's putting in their teams and who they would select on who they think would be best to start for United. But in the back of their minds, everyone is trying to be realistic and actually think, well, I know who I would like, but are we going to get the same old coming in and starting again? Because Ollie said the right things in terms of the youth, but we've seen last season when he had the chance to play the youth, when there was nothing to play for pretty much, and no excuse not to play him, he didn't play him. So he has come out and said, like you said, then Lukaku's gone now. Does that mean Greenwood is going to get a chance? I tweeted out the other day, it's all good and well saying this and that, and Ollie saying that youth is going to be given a chance, but are we just going to end up seeing a forward line that involves Matar, that involves Lingard again, instead of the likes of Greenwood, Chong or Gomez, something a little bit different? Is it going to be the same old again, or is Ollie actually going to take the chance, seeing as though we haven't got any new forward players in the team apart from James? So, I mean, we all want to see the youth players, so I think we all pretty much agree exactly who is going to start at the back for United. I don't think there's any question about David De Gea starting, Luke Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and obviously Slabhead and the Iceman in the middle. The question is, Ant, midfield, the killer question. I think the one part of our team where everyone knows we are lacking and where no one could probably pick a player or a definite, apart from Pogba maybe for tomorrow. What midfield do you think? What midfield do you want, and what midfield do you realistically see actually starting this game tomorrow for us?
Realistically, for me, it has to be, obviously Pogba's a no-brainer. McTominay, and for me, if it was up to me, I would probably I'd go with McTominay, Pogba, and for me, I'd just give Fred a chance. I'd go with Fred straight away for his energy levels. You can't play Matic, he's too slow. And Pereira or Fred, but with me it'd be Fred. Pogba, McTominay and Fred. Can't play Matic, because when Matic played with McTominay together and on the pre-season, it was slow, very, very slow. And then when Matic went off, McTominay came into his own then. So you only play one of them two. You can't play both at the same time. That's why Matic needs to take a seat on the bench and have Fred, McTominay and Pogba.
Yeah, well, I think you're clutching at straws for any midfield, to be honest. And it obviously depends on what formation he's going to play, because are we going to go with the 3 in the middle? Are we going to go with 2 holding midfielders? Or are we actually going to go with a totally different setup? I mean, we've seen a few variations in pre-season, but the one that always stood out and was always the better one last season for me and got the best out of us in terms of an attacking force, which it does have to be now for United going forward. There's no excuse to play defensively. We've got a good defence there. We can rely on that defence now. So hopefully Ollie will go out with an attacking lineup and push forward more in terms of formation-wise and encouraging the players to go forward. Because even though we said we were looking to attack last season, they went right back into the shells when the going got tough, and we know exactly how it all turns out. The best midfield we've seen, I think it was obvious when Matic came off and Mata came off against AC Milan, that obviously McTominay in there gives us an engine. He has improved a lot and he's a better player going forward than the likes of Matic or Mata at the moment, because he's strong, he's not too bad on the ball, he does like a shot as well. And obviously Mata has got guile, he has got touch, probably better than a lot of United's players, but he's obviously struggling now, age and the pace of the game. it's totally passing him by, and it's quite clear to see. I'm all for him maybe having a spot on the bench and coming on every now and then, but Mata doesn't start for me. Matic doesn't start for me. Both too slow. Both they're behind in the way that that the Premier League actually is now for me. You watch the City and the Liverpool games, even some of the other games today, and the speed and just the midfielders that are actually at the other teams that are around us, it just does look like they're going to go forward more. We've seen Norwich against Liverpool on Friday night and the fullbacks pushing up way high. They weren't sitting in. Teams are attacking now, and it's just the way it's going to be. I think United will find it hard if we try and sit back because we haven't got the disciplined forward players to play a defensive style of football. I'm hoping that now Ollie has strengthened the back line. That's a sign that he is going to push forward and just play a more elaborate style attacking football, knowing that he's got a strong back line now, because obviously I'm hoping that in his mind he wasn't playing very much attacking football when it was getting tough last season, because he couldn't rely on them defenders that we had. But now we've got a really good back line, which compares with all the teams at the top of that Premier League. We're definitely up there, one of the better back lines now on paper, so no excuse. And the midfield, McTominay, Pogba for me, and the other one, I would go with Fred also. I hope he gets a chance to play this. Yeah, I hope he gets a chance to play more games this season. I mean, with Herrera missing, obviously Fellaini was there at the start of last season. Then he wasn't getting as many shouts, but now I think he would suit that style of football. I do think he's alright coming away with the ball. I just need to clean up his passing a little bit, but that would be my midfield three, definitely. A few other people commented in the comment section. They'd like to see Tommy. Would like to see Gomez and Pereira both in that midfield. At one point, yeah, both creative sort of players. Pereira's a shout for the midfield. I think it's not a case of the likes of Fred and Pereira. Sorry, Ant's just decided to go super small on the screen. No why. But the likes of Fred and Pereira, I think the way they play for United and their performances have all been based off who actually plays alongside them. It was like McTominay looked a different player when he played alongside Matic. When Matic came off, he looked like a I won't say world beater, but a lot better than what he was when Matic was on. It all depends on the actual setup and who he's actually playing. So for me, if it's set up right and we do it from the start and we get a sort of midfield sort of solidified from the first game and move forward from there, then I think it will benefit us more. The chopping and changing does worry me a lot with Ole in terms of what he has done in the past and changing it all the time, but it's a scary one, I know, but can he actually adapt to being the United manager, knowing that he needs to make sure that we have got a solid midfield and a consistent midfield, because it's only going to help the defence and it's definitely going to help the forward line, because Rashford and Martial can make all the runs that they want, but at the end of the day, if we ain't got anyone in midfield to create or pick a pass, then it doesn't matter who plays up top, and that's where we're going to struggle most of the time, I think, this season, because it is going to be, creative wise, a bit of an ask for a lot of these midfielders, and hopefully Ollie will play an attacking sort of lineup against an attacking midfield against Chelsea tomorrow, and hit the ground running. Moving forward into that front line, Ant, I don't know where you stand in terms of forwards. Martial's got his number 9 shirt back. Rashford's obviously one of his favourites. And then it's take your pick down the right-hand side. Obviously, we've still got the worries there again about Mata and maybe Lingard coming into that right-hand side position if we do play the 4-3-3, that is. But let's say, for instance, just so you know, everyone knows there, yep, Harry Kane, last minute. Always, same old. Tottenham look like they're going to get their 3 points as well, so all the big guns setting off with a stormer by the looks of it. Front three, Ant. Front three, who we having for us tomorrow then?
My front three would be Martial, Rashford and Greenwood. Them front three, but he'll play, Solskjaer will go with Martial, Rashford and Lingard tomorrow. That's who Solskjaer's going to go for. He's going to have Greenwood on the bench, hoping to come on and make an impact. but mine would be Rashford, Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood. Rashford on the Martial central, left Rashford, and on the right would be Greenwood.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do that. He's going to play Lingard just to wind us up.
Tommy's just agreed with you there. That would be my front three as well. Tommy in the comments. Let's see. What's that? Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. Definitely the most exciting front three that we could have in terms of what we have actually already got. But it's always a fear. You just said it there, and you don't see him actually getting Greenwood on the bench at all, which would be a disaster, to be honest, because he's been one of our better players over the pre-season especially. He's looked more composed, and it's obvious. I mean, just to go off what I've just been touching on there in terms of solidifying a team, i.e. getting a consistent team. Look at the top three last season, the best three teams last season, City, Spurs and Liverpool. Look at their forward lines. They don't change much. The midfields don't change much. Harry Kane's just got a brace. It's 3-1 to Spurs now. And Harry Kane is their mainstay. He is their number one. And obviously everyone around him pretty much is the same sort of players all the time. We've always had an Eriksen there last season. Dele Alli was there. Son was there. Same team again. Lamella's there. He's come in. Or Lucas Moura. They're there, they can adapt, because they know Harry Kane's there, he's the main striker, they play around him and they all adapt around that usual midfield which is always there. The back four's always the same, and it's proven. Liverpool the same, front three didn't change all season. I know they got lucky with injuries, but front three doesn't change. And look what happens, performances all day long, every single week, and the table doesn't lie. Chopping and changing all the time is not good for us. It's not good for any team. Ollie's tried it before. We never had anyone settled in that team last season. You could say it was a definite starter for United last season in terms of the forward line. It was changing all the time. It never stuck. And exactly where we are, playing with the same team. Well, playing with the same sort of players who were letting us down last season, which pretty much does make up most of our team. For me, there's only 6 starters you could definitely put in that team right now, going off how Ollie was last season, which is what we said, the back 5 and Pogba in midfield. I do think that is Ollie's main 6, so I can't see ever changing. But the rest of the team could be anything. It could be absolutely anything, because we've seen it before. Sorry, just move the drink around. We've seen it before with Ollie. A lot of the Cardiff fans complained about it as well. I know you've brought it up before, Ant, chopping and changing all the time. Let's just hope that, and he needs to, for me, he needs to put in a team that is going to be a definite starter for the next few games at least before we go into the first international break, so we know exactly where we're going and we can start building a team around certain players, i.e. a front two, a midfield. The back 4 stays the same all the time. There's no excuse for it not to be. So I think that's the main issue, a major issue. I think you've touched on it before as well, haven't you, with Ollie and he's chopping and changing all the time. We can't afford to do it now.
No, we can't. A lot of people used to say that about Cardiff. They said it wasn't so much his tactics, it was so much he never stuck with the same 11. It was always been changing all the way, and if he's going to make success at United, he needs to stick with it. Ferguson used to stick with it all the time. He had certain players who's always played week in, week out, and stuck with them. Like you said, the top 3 the teams don't move. You always know what the team's going to be regarding 1 or 2 injuries, which obviously happens in due course of the season. But he needs to stick with that top back 5 of United. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, obviously Maguire and Lindelof. He needs to. Obviously, with Pogba's going to be our main creativity in the midfield this season. If he gets injured, then it's going to be more pressure on the other lads. But Martial and Rashford now have got new contracts. They need to step up themselves and score, because neither one of them has scored more than 20 goals a season. So it's time for them to step up. The pair of them. Martial's got his number 9 shirt back. I've seen so much from Twitter, people printing 11 to number 9. It's time for him to show it as well. Smiling in pre-season, everything, he needs to show it this season. It needs to be a big year for Martial, and there's more pressure. there's more pressure on the top four, barring Liverpool, because they've all bought new players. Look at Arsenal. Arsenal have spent this summer. There's more pressure on them to do better than us this season because of what they've spent. Chelsea have got a transfer ban. We didn't take advantage of them. I'd say we were level par with Chelsea now, barring the back line. United need this season, for me, United need to stick with a certain team and stick with the tactics Solskjaer wants with a high level press and stick with it. Otherwise, not bringing in McTominay and Matic 1 week in together with Pereira if Pogba gets injured. Stick with the same team, and you'll obviously, fingers crossed, just get behind the lads and back them as much as we can. That's all we can do, really, because there's nothing we can do about the window now. It's done. We just got to back these lads as much as we can.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't back like Matic and Mata when you know what they're going to play like. You can't. They're not going to turn into world beaters all of a sudden because they're a year older. They're a year older and they're slower.
Yeah.
So all we can do is hope.
Yeah, I mean, I said it to you before. I know you're going to be going to a lot more games this season. Obviously, you got more tickets and everything, and we'll be doing a lot more. But we were talking about the other day. I was there last season, and when I'm at the gate, I do have my moans and my rants off away from the ground afterwards. And we obviously criticise the players for certain performances, which is right. And inside the ground, you just give your all, you get behind the team, and yeah, it's easier said than done, especially if United turn up like they did last season. Now, last season for me, and I go to a lot, I go home and away, it was the hardest. It's the hardest it has ever been to support Manchester United, simply because we didn't get anything back from the players at all. And people say, look at Lukaku wanting to leave. People have come on my Twitter and told me and made a point of saying, what can Lukaku do? He's done his best. He's been wrongly criticised for this and that. And I'm just like straight out saying, no, he hasn't been wrongly criticised. It's a player who thinks an awful lot of himself. And he seemed to just rub off on so many other players last season. His lazy mentality, it went right through the team. I'm not saying Lukaku is completely to blame for our work rate last season. I know a lot of people say, and obviously there was I think it was the Rio Ferdinand interview that was leaked a few months ago. He was talking about players and he was trying to big up a player who could be coming. What do you think of this guy? Oh, his work rate's great. And Rio Ferdinand straight out said, well, if you're saying his work rate's great, then that's the best bit about him, then we don't want him. But look at Tottenham, look at Liverpool, look at Manchester City. They are good players on paper. United could probably put a team out if we went and got a midfielder. Obviously, that's different now. If we went and got a midfielder, we could put a team out on paper which could, on paper, match any one of them top three teams, in my opinion. Some people may differ, but in my opinion, I think on paper we could have matched a lot of them teams above us. Definitely Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal at least, and even Liverpool at times. I know they are miles ahead of us at the moment, but that comes on to my next point, which is, it's alright having the players, and we did have them, but if them players aren't going to work and not going to work for the manager and spit their dummy out every single time they get dropped or they don't have anything going their way, and that was Pogba in a nutshell last season. He made one sprint and he was knackered. He needed about 10-15 minutes then to recoup and actually get his breath back and become active again. He did it every single game. People don't see it on TV. If you watch him TV all the time, it's not always there. You don't see what he does off camera. He points his finger, he blames other people. He was a virus in that team last season. And I know it's strong words. I know I have a big opinion on Lukaku, and a lot of people don't agree with me on Lukaku. But for me, watching him last year, he was a major issue, and I'm still not having him and his goal record at all. I've listening to Sky Sports this morning. Obviously, Sports Saturday was back for the first show, and our good old friend Paul Merson going on, literally saying where the goal's going to come from for United now, because half the goals were Lukaku. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, it's the same again. Where people that don't watch United, if they think Lukaku is United's main goal threat, then they do not watch United. Yes, on paper he looks like he gets a lot of goals, but off paper, on the pitch, he does cause an awful lot of problems, especially in the way we play. Just quickly, we got a super chat there from Dan Willis Gaming. Pogba don't want to be there. Sorry, my screen is messed up today, so I don't see the end of the message. Don't get many 10 out of 10 performances, Pogba. Pogba's value and what we're expecting from Pogba, we're just looking for maybe a consistent 7 or 8 out of 10. I think that's probably where a lot of United fans are expecting Pogba to be, and that's where a lot of critique came for Pogba last season. And obviously he was coming up with 8s and sometimes 9s at the height of Ollie's, but then he'd go down to a 4-5 on some games. So yeah, Dan, it is a good point there. Thanks for the super chat as well, mate. But like I said, Pogba there, you've got an example of a player with all the talent in the world, and Lukaku thinks that he is on that level. He thinks he's eating from the same table as Pogba in terms of class. He's not in Pogba's league. He's not. And that player is gone now. And yes, we should have bought someone else in. But for me, I'm going to say that Lukaku leaving was a definite plus sign from the window. And his work rate was non-existent in what Ollie wanted him to do. And it's no surprise that Ollie did not fancy him as his number one. I can totally see that. And I'm 100% behind Ollie Solskjaer on Lukaku not being United's number one striker. Even if Rashford misses chances, which he does a lot, Martial, incredibly inconsistent as he was last season. Ollie is now basically gone and said, right, okay, Rashford, Martial, you're my main 2 forward players. This is your season. If they do not step up this season, like you said, Ant, Rashford doesn't get on 250 grand a week. I expect 20 goals from him. And I know the comments are going to come straight up now and say Rashford's never got 20 goals in him in a season. I know what people are going to start saying. Same with Martial. They've never done it. They've never done it in the career. Well, now it's time to. You've got everything that you wanted. The manager has completely backed Shaw. Even Martial's got his number back, for God's sake, that he spat his dummy about, which I wasn't happy about before. You're playing at Man United, you can't expect anything to be a definite. And for me now, them two this season are United's front two, and they're the ones that have to provide. If they don't, then they're going to have to accept a world of criticism this season, because there's no more. They're not young. They're not too young now. They're not bedding in. It's time now. It's time. It's 3rd and 4th season time for them two, and this is when they need to produce. If you're going to be United's number 9, number 10, whatever you are, then this is the season now. You have to start producing, and it starts tomorrow against Chelsea. I don't know where you lie on the Lukaku, and I've not spoke to you much about him when we're being away, but obviously you said yourself you'd have Rashford and Martial in ahead of him, so I'm guessing you're on a similar sort of page to me. But in terms of work rate, we're all hoping that they have worked on it through the summer, and that is going to be something that is different. Whether or not we'll burn out again is another question, but for me, on paper, United are as good as most teams. Obviously, I'm not taking the no midfielder coming in lightly. I do think that's where we would never get anywhere near the likes of City and Liverpool at the moment. The midfield is nowhere near good enough. But if we'd have bought that one more midfielder, it's all it would have took for me, then we'd have talking a different team. I'd have said United would be 100% nailed on for top 4 if Fernandes came in easily. But we didn't, and this is where we're at now. In terms of things that can change, Anne, I mean, work rate, is that one? I mean, I know it seems stupid and simple thing to ask, because we'd all run through a brick wall for United, because being fans, but it's obviously different for players and that just being their jobs. But what else can we change in the way we are with this current team?
Yes, but that work rate is just a basic. That's a basic for a football player. You need to be, and the way Solskjaer wants to play, United's players need to adapt to that. Because when Mourinho started last season, the players, they looked knackered, and then Solskjaer came in, and it must have been the way he wanted to play. He burnt them out too quick. They went through them few months when they were brilliant, and then they burnt out towards the end. As he'd been working on the fitness levels, aggression levels, everything over the summer, which he needed to. These players are going to come under a lot of criticism this season, but they're going to know that. They're not stupid, these players. They've got social media. They're going to know they're going to get on the stick. All these fans and all other players, teams all over the Premier League. So there could be a point where they bounce back, these players. A lot of points to prove. They might come out firing at all cylinders. They might not. I'm hoping they're going to come out chomping at the bit. They need to, because that's what we need to give to the fans. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, I think it's basically. So I'm just getting up some of the chats on here because obviously my computer's playing up, so I'm just getting up some of the chats from my phone as well. Yeah, so work rate is one thing, players' attitude is another. We touched on both of them now. Obviously, it now comes down to the actual game, and that my favourite word that I brought up last season, and that was bottle. That was the United fans absolutely bottling it because not United fans, sorry, United players absolutely bottled. The pressure was on. Whenever we went behind, I think what was it, Southampton at home. It was the last game I actually enjoyed of United's in Premier League game that I actually enjoyed watching because it was into. I don't mind other teams scoring goals, but don't go into a shell every time we concede a goal. That game was the last time I seen United actually concede goals and still carry on playing the same way, positive. And I thought, I thought that was a turning point for me. Even after everything that Ollie had done before, I thought, you know what, we come up against a solid Southampton team with some good players who we always come unstuck against, and we got past it. And I thought, you know what, that's it, that's the moment. And then it just completely and utterly disappeared, and I don't know what happened or why, but every time we went behind after that, you just knew then it was like, that's it, game over. There's no point in even getting excited about this game going any other way because we're going to end up losing, which turned out to be exactly that. So many times. It's just the bottle and the attitude of United players. Now, I know straight away, moving in with the players that we have bought next season, in terms of bottle, I didn't think McTominay bottled it. I think the whole front line, all 5 strikers bottled it. McTominay was okay. Pogba was doing what Pogba does. He sort of disappeared towards the end of the season. I wouldn't say he was bottling it because he was still trying his Hollywood passes. He was still trying to play the way Paul Pogba plays, and I always back Pogba on that side of it. There are some times when his attitude in terms of defensive football and playing for the team have to be severely questioned, which is right. But in terms of bottle, I do think Pogba was still trying to play his game. It's just it was impossible at any stage of the games we was behind for him to have any effect on the game and the way he plays. Pogba was always better if we're winning or when we're trying to create or we're on a flow. Obviously, a lot of players are going to be like that. But Pogba's game did not suit us when we needed to dig in. And that's where I thought United might go out in the summer and actually buy just to be around so Pogba wouldn't have to do that sort of job and take the burden off him a little bit and get the best out of him. But then again, Ollie's come out now and said he's happy with his team. Really? Okay, Ollie, we'll see. Because the only thing he can do now is start winning games. And if you get off to a slow start against Chelsea, the same questions and the same bitterness in the crowd, which there will be, will come back out again. How have you sort of seen Ollie this summer, Ant, in terms of his positivity? I mean, we spoke about him before in terms of transfers. Has he got what it takes to actually now, second season round, get the best out of this team that we've got right now? Because it's down to him now. The only person who's going to be questioned now after every game or anything that goes good or bad, he's going to get the praise when it's coming. But the only critique that's going to be labelled on any single person of authority at United now is Ole. As soon as we kick off against Chelsea, it's down on him because he's come out and said he's happy with his squad now. So this is it. Ole's got to make the most of it. What is his ambition for this season? Has he got the capabilities? Do you have confidence in him?
He's got to say that though. He's got to say that he's happy with his squad because if he says no, I'm not happy with the squad, I want one or two additions, then mad ass in the dressing room are going to feel that. And these type of players, you know what they're like, they're soft and they've got no bottles. So to big them up, you need to give them a bit of confidence first, and I think that's what Solskjaer's done over the summer. We've had a good pre-season. His work with them, work rate with him has been brilliant. Obviously undefeated, but played some of the young lads, and we've seen Solskjaer give the young lads a chance. There's been, in terms of transfers, Solskjaer, he has been ruthless. He's got rid of Lukaku, he got rid of Fellaini. Rojo was going. He's still chanced Rojo and Darmian might go. So he has been ruthless in terms of the players that don't suit his style. He's got rid of, and he's come out and he said it himself that it was time for Lukaku to go. it was his time for him to go. He needs to, obviously, this team, he needs to implement his style of play with this team. He's had a full pre-season with this team now. He knows how, hopefully, I hope he knows how they work and the fitness levels and everything. He had like a meal, a get-together meal. I think it was Friday or Thursday night. So he's bringing in team togetherness. Hopefully it shows it on the pitch. But in terms of credentials for him to go further, I'm still 50-50 on it. Obviously, as United legend, I'm going to back him through and through, but he is going to come under criticism this season if we start off slow.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to come out all guns blazing. That's just me trying to be positive and obviously a bit buzzing, looking forward to going to see the games. But I could be wrong. But I'm going to back him and say he has got what we need.
Yeah.
But only time will tell. But he does need the backing. And he's been backed in for 148 million, whatever we spent. But then you take the net spend off that, which a lot of people seem to remember. Oh, you spent 140 million on this and that. Well, we're not. You take into consideration what we've sold. And Lukaku, we're not. And if Rojo and Damian go, it's going to be short like 50-60 million net spend.
Yeah, they do.
So we've not spent what people are making out. We've not spent over 150 million.
No, we're not.
We need it. We need more. That midfield needed investing, and obviously he didn't, and now he's happy with what he's got. He has to say that, and we have to go with what we got.
Yeah, exactly that.
But only time will tell.
Because the
only
difference between Ole Solskjaer and Jose Mourinho, going off our actual record and the way our football was and the way our football has been, is the fact that Mourinho kicked up a stink and actually opened his mouth and criticised the board. It's basically it's a nice guy against a guy who's working for Sky now. I can't believe it when I see that come out this morning. That should be interesting after everyone was slagging him off in the Sky studio. How much they're probably going to be licking his arse and when he's sat in that studio now. But what reception he would get at United, I do not know. But one thing you have to say about Mourinho is he actually criticised the board, and I think that was the end of him. Because he actually came out and spoke against United, saying he wanted this player, wanted that player. But Ole, like you said there, he's backed the board. He's happy with his squad, so that for me is Ole backing. The other thing I was slightly annoyed about from the interview yesterday that he said was the obvious, there was money to spend if the right player came along. Money to spend once that transfer window was shut is the easiest comment any manager can come out with, and the easiest thing that anyone at United can actually say, because money to spend on the right player that came along. So the right player, or one player that United probably needed, was a midfielder. Out of all of Europe, South America, anywhere up and down this country, in any league, there was no midfielder that United did not think, or Ole did not think, would improve our midfield over what we've already got. There was none, apparently. Yeah. That's what Ole's pretty much saying, and this is my issue with Ole at the moment. He's still naive, he's still learning, but he has to learn what he says, because at the end of the day, the Glazers and the Woodward won't be bothered when they sack him. If we lose 4 or 5 games in a row, they're not going to be bothered about Ole. He'll just be gone, and then Ole's legacy, Ole's reputation at United will be completely tarnished, because after this, there's nowhere to go for Ole in terms of big management jobs again. He's never gonna get this at the top level. He's never going to get it at all, ever. And for him to say what he said now puts tremendous pressure on himself going forward into this season. I've got to admit, he's showing some bottle saying it, but Hannon players going to listen to him. I mean, 3 of the players that let him down last season, Young, Smalling, Jones, 100% behind the decision for the players that have came in, which are going to keep them 3 out of the team now. God, I hope we don't get any injuries, because literally, if they come into this team now, that's on Ollie's shout, basically. If any of them start against Chelsea, there's no excuse, there's no injuries, he's already come out with it. We all know Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best right back we've got. We know Harry Maguire and Lindelof are our best centre-backs. I mean, he's bought Maguire and he's bought Wan-Bissaka, so there's no excuse for them two not to be playing, which obviously shows and means that there's no Smalling, there's no Jones, and there's no Ashley Young. 3 players who massively let us down. Then he goes out and makes Ashley Young captain. I'm scratching my head thinking, Ole, please, you're not helping yourself at all. Just be honest and just say, we're going to leave the captaincy until a few games in. Maybe say it like, until we know exactly how we're playing and what players are responding to certain players and how we move forward in terms of a playing style. Then we will judge that on, we'll judge the captaincy on that and how players react to certain situations and take it from there. You do not have to come out and just say it just because he's been there the longest. He hasn't. Chris Smalling has. He says it all. 3 of the longest term serving players at United are Young, Smalling and Jones. It's only De Gea who's alongside them. There are 3 longest serving players, which is an embarrassment on its own. But Ollie now has pretty much, that's it, he's nailed it. He's nailed it to the wall. This is my team now. It's an Ollie Solskjaer team because he had every single chance to change it around. He's changed 2 major positions which were an issue, and like I just said, I completely got rid of a problem in players that we had last season. Then he had the chance, and this is where I don't understand it at all. The money was coming in from Lukaku. They knew it. They knew he was going. It was embarrassing that United actually had a player of his value that we paid so much money for at another club training. How he was dictating how his pre-season was going and was so unprofessional. That was annoying on its own, and we knew that money was coming in. Is there no midfielder on the planet anywhere in any country that is better than would not improve us at all? Because that's what Ollie said. So basically, Pereira, Fred, McTominay and Matic are the ones that are going to get us into this top 4 alongside Pogba in midfield. Ollie said that. He's not said it in words, but that's what he's pretty much getting to. So, going from that, it's a case of, right, Ole, it's down to you. This is you now. This is your United team, because we knew we needed changes in the summer and he's not done it. He's done a bit, but I don't think he's going to get given the chance if things go wrong, personally. I hope that if they do start going wrong, they stick with Ole, because I don't think there's any manager who's going to change what we've got right now. None at all. But and now I never wanted a guy to do so well in my life, but I just find it hard to back some of his decisions, and that's what I've got. I'm going to be fully behind him all season. I will question him and I will criticise when he makes certain decisions, like we have done all summer. But I'll be right behind the players until obviously after the game when we all start having a bit of a moan around. But when I'm there, I'll get fully behind the team. You've all seen it on the match day vlogs. I'm always there singing, chanting, and will behind it. I know you'll be the same, man. But there's just that little feeling deep down inside of like, this game against Chelsea tomorrow is going to set up our season and how we're going to move forward. It's basically, it's got to, I'm just like, I'm at a stage where I'm like, you know what, the first 20 minutes of our season is going to dictate the whole season. And it's got to that stage, I'm like, oh, God. So just before I come to you on that, we just got a super chat there. Hooray, thank you very much, mate. That's an awesome super chat, pal. Really appreciate that. He says, what's the point in having a good season when that would only mean that we will spend less money because of Champions League money? Good point. Less money. Won't get back to the top with owners that doesn't want to get back to the top. Exactly, hooray, mate. I said this the other day. I made a point of this. I will get back to you in a second, Dan, on how this game needs to start tomorrow and what we need to do with the team. But hooray made a good point there, because I said this the other day. If we get into the top 4, I think Mark said it on the United Stand as well, there should be a statue of Ollie Solskjaer outside the stadium straight away if we get in that top 4 this season, because it is a massive ask for this team that we've got. But if we did manage to get in this top 4, the owners are going to take credit. I know they are. Ed Woodward's going to come out and say, look, we trusted in you. No, you didn't. You banking this whole season on getting lucky with some players getting better, i.e. McTominay, Fred. They're hoping, they're banking on that, because the other players that we've signed up, Mata ain't going to get any better. He's peaked. Matic isn't going to get any better. Lingard's not going to get any better. We're hearing that Lingard's going to sign his contract soon, which is another catastrophe in my opinion. But the board, the United hierarchy, everyone is banking on Ole getting lucky because he hasn't been fully back with the squad. He's just come out and said whatever the board have told him to say. That is more than obvious. And if we did get into this top four, hooray is exactly right. I don't think we would spend any more money because they would then come out. They're using the youth as an excuse not to spend money. That's what they're doing. They're trying to say, and people have said it on social media as well, have come out and said it, well, no one complained in 95 when we did it. No one complained about the Busby Babes. Forget about them times. Different managers, different players around them. It was a perfect environment to play youthful players. Now we're bringing players in and putting so much pressure on them because the board have no intention of spending money. They've got no ambition at all of spending money and putting this club back where it was. They're banking on manager after manager after manager making the most out of players. People were saying Van Gaal deserved praise because he's the one who brought Rashford through. No, he should not. He got lucky. Like, which everything is about United. They're banking on luck. Pure outright luck on these young players and the likes of McTominay, Fred Pereira getting better a season on. Yeah, 80 million on a defender, world record. So, we just sold Lukaku. We're going to make money off Zaha when that goes through in January. Darmian and Rojo could still go before the end of the European window shuts. We could actually come out of this window in profit yet. Do you know what I mean? They've already got them. I heard Mark was talking about the other day, United have already made their money in the season ticket sales that they make us renew in May before anything's actually done. If we don't renew before the end of May, then we lose our tickets. So we have to pump up the money straight away. And then they come out and made the announcement, and everyone knows it. They made the announcement, and United have sold season tickets in record time. And hooray, you're exactly right, mate, on that. Thanks for the super chat, mate. But you made a really good point there because I go on about this a lot, and they won't spend any more money. Different. The last 4 summers have all been net 80 million max, and it was even less this summer. It could even get worse before the European window shuts. God forbid Madrid get Pogba or something happens there. That would be a disaster. But quick, I will just go back to you, Ant, in terms of the Chelsea game. I know we keep swaying off, but United fans, and rightly so, we've got so much to talk about in terms of the anger from the summer. I'm just happy there is football to talk about to take us away from it, and hopefully we get the result. But Ant, the start tomorrow, for me, I've just said it there. I'm stuck in 2 minds of where this goes tomorrow. Really, we could get that fast start, like you said, but I just fear for the life of me. If we don't get the start that we need tomorrow, and maybe we go behind, we're going to really see what this team is made of. I'm not particularly worried about the back line. I do think we've got a little bit of bottle there now, and I'm encouraged by every single one of that back 5 that's there. They're all encouraging. It's the rest of the players. It's the pressure that's been put on McTominay now. It's the pressure that's been put on Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial now. Can they step up to be the United players that everyone wants them to be and knows they possibly could be? But have they got the kahunas, the Troy Deeneys to actually do it? What's your score prediction for tomorrow, and what is going to happen? Tell me, be positive. What are we having? Everyone in the chats as well, let me know. What are you thinking score-wise?
Tomorrow, I'm going with a 2-0 United tomorrow. A 2-0. 1 for Martial and 1 for Pogba.
Oh, French
2-0.
connection for Ant tomorrow then. He's happy with that one, yeah?
I'm happy with that one. I definitely think Martial, hopefully, he's got his number back. As pathetic as that is, for someone to get a number back and play a lot better, it's pathetic. But you know what he's like. He needs mollycoddling Martial. He doesn't smile. He never smiles. He's a grumpy bastard, so he always needs attention. Straight away, as soon as Zlatan came in, took his shirt off him was a big issue straight away there. Mourinho never fully liked him. He always wanted to sell him. If it wasn't for Edward last season telling him no, we're not authorising that move, he would have been gone.
Yeah,
Martial. So he needs the love. Most of the team need the love, but in terms of this game tomorrow, it's massive. I know people say it's only the first game of the season, but it is massive for how we're going to set up. Because if we lose tomorrow, we're away to Wolves after it, and if we lose 2 in a row,
exactly,
fans are going to want his head. They're going to want all his head, and and he's the only one he's going to get the stick. The players aren't going to get the stick because it's not their fault we've not signed a player in the summer. It's not their fault they've been sold. It's only going to come down to the board and Solskjaer. And Solskjaer, as I said, he's happy with his squad. He's just gone and said what the board are happy to him to say. Yeah. On Friday in his press conference, he was confident. He was his answers were all very good, but when they got down to nitty gritty about the window, you could see he was getting frustrated and he was getting a bit flustered and he didn't like some of the questions that were being answered. But no one noticed how no one answered the question like what he said at the end of the Everton game. I'm going to be successful and these players aren't going to be here. Well, hang on a minute. You said these players aren't going to be here. They're still in the team. We've not sold any of them apart from Lukaku. They're still there. So where's that ruthlessness that was in that interview? No one mentioned that about it yesterday. It's like they were all threatened not to say stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's massive tomorrow. The game is massive start. Because if we start off good and we win, we're going into that Wolves game positive. But
yeah,
I don't know. I really don't. Chelsea's not got Hazard either, and that is their main man. And without that,
moving on.
You see how well
you bring me straight on to my point now. Just quickly go through some of the score predictions before I go on to the next point. But you just brought on nicely there. And I've got an Arsenal fan on here. I'm behind you, Gunner for life. Go away with your 8 mil sideshow Bob centre back. Yeah, that's a good one. That popped out. Nice one, mate. Tommy says 2-0 to United. Andrew Massey 0-0. Football fan chat 2-1 Chelsea. He's a Chelsea fan, all right, mate. I hope you're totally wrong, but. Yeah, he's going 2-1 Chelsea. Rafe 616, how you doing, mate? Smash, Yell and Aaron Wan-Bissaka 2-0. I'll take that one, mate. Paul Chadwick 2-1 to us. I'm behind you. He's going with a 1-1. I think Arsenal would accept 1-1 because it is us. Us, Chelsea and Arsenal, I think should be, realistically, fighting for that fourth spot this season. That would be a perfect result for them. Chelsea win. We have Pulisic, another Chelsea fan on there. Yeah, which again then goes straight on to my next point, talking about Chelsea, because I know I keep talking about windows and spend and everything like that, but Chelsea have got a transfer ban and there's every opportunity by the time the European transfer window shuts that Chelsea would have spent more than United this summer. I know. I'm only saying that because they bought Kovacic. It's only a little joke because I know Hazard's gone and obviously you've racked in the money for that and sold a couple of other players. But the fact that Chelsea have managed to buy a player, I know that was all in and done and dusted with Kovacic on the loan and agreement, and they managed to sway that one. But obviously Pulisic is there now. So I'm going on to Chelsea now. Obviously that game rules tomorrow, and there's a few Chelsea fans who are quite confident. And I'm going to start by bringing up the confidence in Chelsea fans because they're probably feeling exactly the same way we did when Ollie came in after Jose was sacked in December. And I do expect Chelsea to get a decent start because they will sort of ride that Frank Lampard wave. I do think Lampard will end up being a good manager. Whether or not this move came too soon, the one thing that does worry me is that boost. Because Chelsea have had an unbeaten pre-season as well. Yeah, they've had a couple of draws and only beat Barcelona. I think they played Mönchengladbach 2-2 in their last pre-season game as well. And they've looked alright. They've looked quite decent. Obviously, when you lose one of the best players in the world in Hazard, kind of takes the fear out of it a little bit for me in terms of Chelsea. Why I'm confident we will actually win. And I don't see any real threat in Chelsea. I know they'll be organised. I expect them to be. I do fear some of the kids when they're actually fit. I know obviously Hudson-Odoi obviously signed his new deal, but he's not fit for the start of the season. Loftus-Cheek, 2 players there who I would fear. I do rate absolutely right up there, and I don't know why they didn't play more games, which is why I do think Lampard will do a lot better than Sarri did, because he will play the youth players that do deserve to be played against United, or not against it, well, deserve to be played for Chelsea, because they are 2 quality players, both on new deals now, which is good for Chelsea. I do think Chelsea will benefit from the transfer embargo, I really do. I just think they're going to lose a little bite, because obviously Hazard is like us losing Ronaldo. They've not been able to replace him. I know Pulisic has come in, that was already organised, but United knew it straight away. United had a replacement in Rooney. Rooney stepped up to the mark when Ronaldo left. We always had a replacement there, and over the years we've just lost them because of bad investment, new owners, and eventually we've run out of players to replace our big guns when they have been sold on. And that's where we're at now. But Chelsea, I don't think have got anyone of the calibre to actually match up and bring what Hazard brings. So, I mean, threats in the Chelsea team, and where you seen the main threat coming from for them?
The main threat is, like I said, it will be the Pulisic. That's it, because you've got the front line will be obviously in terms of after that. What is it? Pedro, Giroud. The Chelsea fans aren't really keen on Giroud. Do you know what I mean? We lost Hazard, and you've seen the way Hazard played in that Europa League final. He won that on his own. Hazard, he was brilliant. But now he's gone. Because last season when he didn't have Hazard, he dried up. And then they've lost David Luiz as well. And I'm not sure if Rudiger's even going to be fit. So their back line, well, we've got Zuma obviously, but Zuma and Christensen. But then again, is that strong enough? Are we going to take advantage of that? Because without pace going up against their back line, I do favour us more. But the midfield's the worry though again. Kante is fit. Kante is obviously one of the best midfielders in the world in what he does.
Yeah.
It's not. He's the one. I worry more for the energy levels of Kante than I would going forward for Chelsea tomorrow, because Pulisic is going to have so much pressure tomorrow, his first game, and he's going to have to step up. Obviously, Giroud's hot and cold. I don't know. In terms of creativity, I'm not worried that much for Chelsea, because hopefully our back line can handle that. It's obviously it's a lot better our back line than what it was last season. And obviously the hair and goal as well, so I do favour us in terms of that. But this is our midfield and stuff.
I do think my only fear in Chelsea and that current team, like I said, the two young lads in Loftus-Cheek and Hudson-Odoi do have something. They really do. They have got futures. My only fear in Chelsea, it's not in the players, it's in Lampard. It really is, because he's a smart man, he was a smart player, and he knows his stuff, his football brain. I'd say Lampard, if he did leave Chelsea, would still have a career at a top level club for me. I do rate Lampard, I do think he will be a good manager. He's perfect for management. That is my fear, because I know he's got Chelsea at heart, and he will embed into that team, just like maybe John Terry would have if he was there at the time. He will embed into that team and that young team what it is to be a Chelsea player. He was the main man. You could say Drogba, you could say John Terry, but for me Lampard was always the linchpin. He was the man for Chelsea through and through. He was the one that held everything together and could play both sides of the game. He was immense. Played along so many different world-class midfielders, and people say it's different. You could be a world-class player, you're never going to be a world-class manager. I get the feeling that Lampard will be one of their managers. He will be up there probably managing for England one day. That's how I see it. I know it's a big shout, it really is, but that's my fear against Chelsea. It's not the team, it's how Lampard will get into him. That's my worry, because people thinking that this game tomorrow is going to be a walkover because Hazard's not there. Yeah, Hazard isn't there, he takes away a threat of any team. But with Frank Lampard behind these Chelsea boys tomorrow, then it is gonna. That's where we would lose or draw this game tomorrow. I can't see us losing. I think a draw, probably worst case scenario, simply because it is the first game of the season at Old Trafford. We should hold our own. We've never really been beat. I don't think we've ever been beat on the opening day at Old Trafford, and that's what's going to hold it together. We might scrape the win, I think. I just need to see some positivity from United tomorrow, because Chelsea are going to come out tomorrow and they're going to be buzzing. They are going to be a hard nut to crack. They'll be organised, and I just think Lampard will install a positivity within them players, and the fact that he hasn't got money to spend and it has to be players brought through from the ranks of Chelsea will only benefit him even more. He wouldn't have come in for me if there was no transfer embargo. I just don't think he's ready to spend the big amounts of money, but he's got a little stepping stone here now which is perfect and has all worked out right for him. That's my fear. None of the team, none on the individuals, altogether. It's an altogether outfit of Chelsea under Lampard and United's frailties that worries me right now. It's a combine of them two. United's bottle and the way we finished last season we're coming up against a young Chelsea team with Frank Lampard behind him, who is Mr. Chelsea, as we know. And they've always had a good record at Old Trafford, only a couple of times over the last few years that we've actually beat them. I can see it being a tough game, a really tough game. I would take 1-0 right now. That's my prediction. A goal, either way, a one goal more scoreline, 2-1, 1-0, whichever way you want to do it. Hopefully we'll get a 3-2 in an entertaining game. I don't see it being entertaining, because I just think Lampard will make it hard for United to play. He did us with Derby. We've seen the way he utilised certain players when he did it with Derby in the League Cup when he beat us there. And this is no easy task for United at all. I do think Chelsea have got a serious good chance of beating us tomorrow. I really do, just because of Lampard. That's my main fear. Just before we finish up, because we have gone over an hour now, somehow, I don't know how, going on an hour. Just going to go through some of the messages. Let's see. Ivor Anthony's actually a City fan. Got to agree, Lamps was the perfect choice. Yep, pretty much. It's for where they are right now. If we had money to spend, I don't think Lampard would have been the right choice. I really don't. But it was made for him. That's my worry. It was actually made for him, this one. Let's see. Any protests planned? No, nothing that I know of yet, mate. The last one fell on its arse, but like a lot of people have said, it needs to be better organised and probably on a match day for a protest to even work. But we're not talking about that now. It's game time. Andrew Massey, Dan James should start. Maybe should. I'd have put Greenwood ahead. Dan James can be a big impact for us with his pace in the second half. Vice versa. James start, Greenwood could be an impact as well. Let's see. We need to kick the Glazer out. Ed Woodward out of the club. We do, AK, but it ain't happening anytime soon. Especially if we have a good season. God, got no chance then. Yep, Lampard will have them up for it. I'm playing for the badge. Just hope our players do the same and more. That was from MT. Yeah, that was my big fear. Pogba's still leaving. That was the last message I'm going to read. What a note to finish on. Thanks, Dad. Daz Sweets, yeah, Pogba's still leaving. What a way to finish the video. Positivity at its finest. Yes, we are united. Well, we better be tomorrow, otherwise Chelsea will beat us. I can say that without doubt, or any doubt in my mind whatsoever. That now pretty much sums up the video. We've been going over an hour. I just want to thank Ant for coming on. I'll see you tomorrow, Ant, at the game.
No problem.
Thanks for all the comments, the super chats especially, as well, people. I really appreciate all the support for the channel. I'm planning on going live when the team drops tomorrow. It's sort of like a little mini live stream. Me and Ant will be there just before the game, about when the team drops, our thoughts, what we actually feel, what the vibe is around Old Trafford as well. Obviously, the match day vlog will be up as well tomorrow, so a lot going on tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Like, share, subscribe, give the video a like. Give the video a like, yeah, obviously, when it comes up on YouTube later. Thanks for coming on, leaving a comment. Subscribe if you're watching for the first time. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Big day. Can't wait, looking forward to it. Thanks for coming on, Ant.
No problem, Dad.
Alright, thanks everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully it's good and we have a good start to the season. Please, God, see you then. Bye-bye.